Oh, hello there, and welcome back to Shiki. And today we're going to be watching RM and Pharrell having an open conversation, an interview from Rolling Stones, Musicians on Musicians. We're going to be checking this out. And before we get started, I just want to remind you to vote for BTS and MA 2022 and also IDOLPLUS. There's only one day for IDOLPLUS, but your vote can really change the whole game. So please, if you have an opportunity, you can reference to the description box, and there will be all the info that you could need to vote. But yeah, let's go.
I'm not sure if you remember it or not, but we've met at
Of course.
Billboard Music Awards
Yes,
in
course.
2018.
Yeah,
Do you remember?
We took a photo.
We took
That's
a photo.
fine.
I wanted to work then.
Ooh. Don't forget to vote. MA 22. Don't forget to vote. Don't forget to vote. Yeah, skirt. Boop, boop. Brr. Yeah, woo. Don't forget to vote.
First of all, thank you for having me. Thank you for having
Thank you for
me.
that.
I think that there's a huge benefit in writing and producing for other people.
Okay, straight into it. Straight into it.
As well, but it allows me to go to places that I wouldn't go for myself. And as much as it feels like, I may know what I'm doing when I'm doing songs that I'm, featured as a solo artist, some people know, but most people don't know that all of my solo efforts have always been songs that I have written and produced for other people. In fact, when I try to write songs for myself or produce songs for myself, they always are too complex and seem much more like a puzzle than they do, a jam, like
Right.
a bop. But I do those for other people. So for me, oftentimes my best stuff is the stuff that I poach back for myself.
Okay, that's
How it is
interesting.
for you.
Wow.
In 2005, I was just an elementary school kid, and I just wanted to be a rapper. As I got to know what's rap, it's basically it's rhythm and poetry. I really felt attractive for this whole genre to send the messages to the world. Actually, it's really embarrassing to answer about all this in front of my idol, but for me,
Oh my
it's,
God. So
for
wholesome.
me, it's really more comfy to Mostly for me, I write somebody's lyrics or the melodies for other artists. Not as many as you, but it feels like it gives me another avatars and characters.
Yes.
Yes. So when it comes to me, it's a complex, and it always comes with the pain, to confess. But it's still the most important part for me.
I can relate to that. I think the pain part for me is probably the fun part, because that's like some of the most vivid paint that we can use as artists when we're like filling in what we want to be a powerful verse. It's like, okay, does it hurt enough? Or does it feel good enough?
True.
So I understand you there when you say, you inject the pain in your verses to make sure that it's like,
Right.
They're strong. I agree.
I was wondering,
Just real quick, their chemistry is amazing. They're having such an honest and open conversation. I wasn't expecting it to get straight into the nitty gritty, but they're definitely just immediately talking about, this is like what we're hearing right now is from two legends. We're hearing it from Namjoon and Pharrell, which like they have so much music experience, producing experience, writing experience, all of that. So this is priceless information, really. And also, I just wanted to point out the amount of respect that they have between each other. It's so it's so obvious, and also Namjoon's humbleness and modesty, and just how he's talking in front of his idol. Sometimes when you speak in front of your idol or someone that you really looked up to, it can be very heavy, like pressure-wise and everything. But you're doing an amazing job. Let's go.
creative.
It's like,
Right.
they're strong. I agree.
I was wondering, creative process, how it's different for you yourself, like in my mind or girl, or between the songs you made for the others, like the singers or the rappers, or like clips, grounding, of course. I just wonder difference, from the scratch?
So when an artist walks in, they
Great
ask
question.
for something.
Like
Great question.
Track or idea?
They'll say, I just want something hard, or I want something darker, or I want, something that's like for the club, like,
Banger.
you know what I'm saying? A banger, like, and so I'm considering what they're looking for, but I'm also thinking about like the texture of their voice and the patterns and the melodies that they do usually.
Wow.
Then I think about how I can give them something very different than they've ever done before. And so when you mix all of that together, a lot of times, an artist will say, man, that's a little different for me or whatever. And then I'll go ahead and reference it and, sell it to someone else. And then like oftentimes that same person will come back to me and say, man, why didn't you play me that? And I was like, I did play you that, but they weren't hearing it in that way.
Wow, that's the fun part.
Yeah, that's the fun part. But then there are people who jump out the window and they go ahead and try it. Because my whole thing is just try it. We don't have to put it out.
Right.
But, people are so good at what they do. Sometimes they're afraid to explore different parts of their voice, different parts of their personality, and different parts of their career. So, they're a little like hesitant. But for the ones that do try it, they get to experience something new. And look, if we decide at the end of the day it's just not right for them, it's not right for them.
Right.
But you got to hear a different side. That's my favorite part of writing and producing for other people.
Like a challenging.
Yeah.
Like, so here comes another thing.
All right. So first of all, great question from Namjoon and great answer. I feel like, why do we sometimes limit ourselves? Just like Pharrell is talking about here, sometimes we put like these invisible walls or barriers around us, which kind of limits our potential. And I think his point is him working with so many different artists or doing something for someone else gets him out of his comfort zone, which turns into experience, knowledge, and another skill set to him. And I think even as people, you would be surprised of what you're capable of. But sometimes, like when it's just us, it's so easy to be like, that's not me, or no, that's just not gonna work out. But giving yourself a chance, and you can be surprised at what you're actually capable of. I think that's wonderful, really. But yeah, let's go.
Writing and producing for other people.
Like a challenging.
Yeah.
Like, so here comes another thing.
Okay.
I started to listen to music. I mean, like the hip hop music in 2005.
Namjoon's voice
with the Nas.
I love it.
Eminem.
Okay.
Of course, the classics.
Yeah.
But as I get to know you, when I first listened to your song, especially, I just want to point out "Take It Off," because that's my playlist, one of the playlists.
Whoa.
So
That's
wow.
crazy.
when I listened to it, I even translated it into Korean, and I just recorded once when I was I'm amateur.
Whoa.
So when I listened to it, I just always been wanting to have the frequency, like because you always cross over this. These days, genre doesn't mean anything, but I think at that time, was like some rappers really criticize the rappers who sing or use the autotunes.
Right.
But I don't know, you started your career as a producer, or so you're like very natural for that. But I always wanted to have the frequency like you. Like it sometimes it's just singing. It could be falsetto. Sometimes you rap. Sometimes you just sang the hook for the other artists, like Snoop Dogg. And so how do you position yourself when you participate in the song as a player? Like,
Wow. First of all, these are great questions.
It gave me goosebumps. Listening to Namjoon gives me goosebumps. The way he articulates himself and the way he thinks about music in general, and the fact that like you can see the awe in Pharrell. Like you can see it as he's listening to him talk. It's like, wow.
Participate in the song as a player.
Let's go.
Like,
Wow. First of all, these are great questions.
Thank you.
And no one's ever asked me that.
Oh,
believe it
really?
or not.
Wow.
Like no, I've never had a journalist ever ask me.
That really matters to me. So.
Wow.
So, and that's like no cap. Like you, believe it or not, no one's and it sounds like they could have, and because it's such an obvious question, but no one's ever asked me that. So I'm blown away by that.
Oh, this is so cool. Let's go.
everything, I make decisions based off of feeling.
Oh,
I don't make them based off of convention.
I gotta rap. I gotta sing.
Yeah, no,
gotta
it's just
Wow.
whatever it feels like it needs, and I'm gonna channel it as best as I can because I'm trying to tell somebody else who's gonna be better than me to do it. And oftentimes, what will happen was artists will be like, "Nah, we want you to stay on there," and I'll be like, "No, but it's for this person." But I channel what I feel like is missing, and I forget that it's gonna be me because if I think that it's gonna be me, then it won't be as good and I won't be as confident. I'm only confident knowing that I am giving the instruction and the directives to someone else. Like for example, there's a record that I did with Mystical a long time ago called
Mystical.
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah, Shake Your Ass, right? So when I did that record, I was thinking like, writing wise, Chad and I produced it together. But when I was writing that hook, I was pretending that like Eddie Kendricks from the Temptations could do it. And I remember saying to them, "Oh man, we're gonna get like, we're gonna get the guy from the Temptations to do it." And they were like, "Nah, the record company wants you to stay on there." I was like, "Wait, what?" So it was like this weird thing where like I started to realize that was my sweet spot, is when I channel other people and I surrender to what the music needs and not let my ego or my feelings get involved. Ooh. And then I actually make better decisions, whether it's gonna be me on the song at the end of the day or not, or another artist. I filled in the blank and given them a different feeling. And sometimes I would be sharp, when I'm singing on there, but it just felt good, and we would just leave it.
So I'm not sure if you remember it or not, but we've met at
of course,
Billboard Music Awards.
Yes, of
in
course.
2018.
Yeah,
do you remember?
We took a photo.
We took a photo.
Wait.
I wanted to work then.
Oh my God.
I didn't want to be aggressive. So I was like, let's just take a photo. But
you were nice.
But I really wanted to. I was like, yo, let's leave. I think we took a photo backstage.
Yeah, backstage in your room actually.
Yeah, and then like I was working in a studio not too far off, and I really wanted to be like, yo, fuck all of this. No, you know what? Let me correct this because I don't want fan base to be mad at me using this kind of language. But man, I was like, I wanted to be like, listen, let's leave here right now and go make some great music because I just loved everything that you guys were doing.
That's so
love
cool.
Your energy and I love what it is that you represent. At such a time when our Asian brothers and sisters and fellow Asian human beings that maybe don't identify necessarily binarily in a binary way, Asian community has just been going through so much
these days,
and
gradually more and more.
The Asian community has given me so much, and I really feel like y'all's energy. You're also showing like artist not just like not just in one specific genre, but I think you're just like also showing people that like you don't have to be. You can be humble. You guys, your energy is there's a lot of humility that you all vibrate. I think that's a great energy. What people don't realize.
Pharrell, you're making me like you more and more every second. Santa hats off to you. What he's saying here is I have nothing to add other than good job. I'm in full support of everything you're saying here.
It's like when you have great energy.
He recognizes the humility.
Like when you have, literally, hundreds of millions of fans, and you encounter them, 20 and 50 and 100,000 at a time.
Can't notice a single face. It's just a mass.
It's
MAS. That's not a.
It's a mass.
It's a mass.
And it is a massive voice, and it is a massive, using that word mass, it is a massive energy coming at you, and you say jump,
and then they jump,
and they jump, and you sing, and they sing every word.
Right.
And
I'm getting
you know that
goosebumps.
you can feel through their voices that so many of their lives have been affected and changed because of something that you've done.
That's
I
what I,
don't know how
only
you.
believe.
I don't know how you do that, because I've had a couple songs do that, and then when I get out there and go sing it, that would make me cry because it was too much of a responsibility. Every time I get that close to that size and what I do as a musician,
Wow.
I always step back.
Oh, why? It's like, is it too heavy?
It's too heavy, man.
Too much?
It's too much of a responsibility. That's why I really revere people like yourself and your band members and other artists like B and J and like, man, what y'all go out there and go face every night on that stage. It is humbling and it's overwhelming, and sometimes your nervous system got to be built for that.
Of course.
Let me ask you this: how do you deal after you come off the stage feeling electrified and shocked every night? How do you decompress, or do you decompress, or do you purge? Like, how do you do that?
This is one of the best interviews I've seen point blank. Wow. Pharrell is hitting is literally, it's one hit after another. It's just what he's saying is so true. Wow. Like, can you imagine? Shush, Shiki. Let's go.
How do you decompress, or do you decompress, or do you purge? Like, how do you do that?
It's, my first performing was in front of like 10 people in some small clubs when I was like 15.
Okay.
And I like forgot most of the lyrics. So at that time, I just realized that, I'm not a star type. I'm not like a front man and could enjoy all this shit and just like Kurt Cobain or Mick Jagger. I'm not that type of. I'm just a human, just who loves writing music and just the energy. So every night, like for example, we had these stadium shows in Las Vegas last April.
Yeah.
It was 4, but like every night is a challenge. It's like same set list. It's like maybe the same flow, sort of type, little different, but just like you said, that moment, like after we finished the first 3 beginning songs, and then we, take out the earphones, and then we just like, we're fucking back. It's like that's like everybody shouting out. At that moment, that's when I really gets all the nerves, and like there's a different me persona for the next 2 hours and a half. But before that, from the rehearsal and even in the playing, I got really nervous and like so responsible, because I really am aware of the stories that fans buy the tickets and they come from Brazil, from Japan, Korea, like from everywhere. They just come there for just that one night. So it feels me like I have to pay back. I have to give them, I have to offer them the best night ever in their lives. So it's a mess, and it's a too much energy. But I'm a human, and I really get nervous, and I really sometimes get depressed by, and even get swallowed by all the energies. But I'm trying, and I try to deal with it, because I'm a human, and I love the music. I love their love, because I think love is really happening when we give somebody, not we receive. Yeah, we take.
Yeah.
So
Love is when you give it to someone, not when you receive it. This man, Namjoon, he has such a way with words. There's not enough words. He has such a way with words, but there's not enough words to describe him. Incredible.
give somebody, not we receive. Yeah, we take.
Yeah.
So I think it's more closer to the real love, I guess, personally. So I just want to give them back. They brought us from just a small city in Korea all the way back to the heart of this music industry,
Yeah.
Las Vegas, LA, New York. Me having an interview with Pharrell, it could happen because of fans all over the world. I'm just always grateful, and I just don't want to disappoint them. How do you define? How do you position yourself? Like you're a producer. Yeah, you may be a rapper. You may be a singer.
Yeah.
You may be a CEO.
Yeah.
Father.
Yeah.
A husband.
Yeah.
Like what's like I'm for, of course the name Pharrell explains everything, but like accept that. How will you define yourself? Like
I don't know. I mean,
Wow.
I'm a public servant first.
Public servant.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that word.
Yeah, and when you serve the public, you're doing it's what
Something for public.
Yeah, and that's God's will. I'm a believer.
Oh, you're a believer.
Yeah, I believe the universe is real. For me, God is the universe.
Mm-hmm.
We're in the universe. And then again, being a public servant, being a father, a husband, and then music is like everything for me, because music's the skeleton key that's opened up every door for me to.
Still music.
Yeah, it's like the center of everything, because without that, I wasn't able to do all the stuff that I'm able to do. And then I definitely have my struggles with having a lack of a sense of purpose, I think.
When? Like,
right around 2005, when I put out In My Mind.
In My Mind.
I just felt like,
right after that?
As soon as it didn't do what I wanted it to do, I mean, culturally, it made an impression, but it didn't do it egotistically. It didn't perform the way I wanted it to, chart-wise. Like, it just didn't do what I was used to at that time, and that really hit me hard. So that made me start to think about like purpose and things having real, true DNA, and not just aesthetic perversion, but like real, true, like meaning, and something that could be meaningful to people, but at the same time still fun. And I've always loved the girl, so that was always going to be a part of it. But so I understand what that is. I know what it's like to hit that place in your career, and for whatever reason, and you guys are doing fine. But I think, from what I'm hearing and what I'm understanding, you guys hit a place where you were like, what are we doing? Who are we? Are we who we said we were?
Right.
And as you think about who you are and you think about what you mean and what your intentions are, it's like also kind of determining who you want to be.
Wow.
I mean, how's that feel? Like, where are you in that process right now? Because you're working on a solo record, right?
Yes, like 90% of the work is done.
Okay.
I've released some mixtape as one of the member of the band, but I think it was just like experiments. I think this time it's maybe my official first solo album.
Okay.
That I could feel enough.
Okay.
I don't know it's gonna be like, I don't know if I would feel like you after In My Mind or not, but I think it'll happen after when I release it.
Yeah.
So I'm just dependent on the time, but it's been just like 10 years after we had our debut as a team. So K-pop is all about the band and the groups. And actually, I told you, I personally started my career as a rapper, and as a poet.
Yeah.
So that was a tricky part actually, because the K-pop is like a mix.
Yeah.
It's like the mix of American pop music, all the visuals and the choreos and social medias and stuff. It's really intense and really hectic. So it has some pros and cons of its own. So after 10 years, I think it was not our intention, but we took it. But we actually became a sort of a social figure. So a K-pop band going to have a speech at the UN, or meeting the presidents. It's like
It's mind blowing.
I think I was really confused, and I'm what am I, like a diplomat or what? So
Yeah.
I was just a small rapper and lyricist when I was young, like from the scratch. So so it was 10 years really intense as a team, and I actually was in charge like almost all of the interviews, and representing the team like in front of the other members. That was my stuff, I guess, role.
Yeah.
So I think I got really I don't know, like, yo, I gotta stop this for a bit.
Yeah.
I gotta shut it down and just fall from it away, and then just see what's going on. Making my mind really calm down.
Yeah.
And then I think so that's how I got to concentrate on my just solo. And these days I really have been thinking about the 15 when I first listened to you. The first feeling and the vibe and the reason why I started, why I chose music to for my whole life, I guess. So yeah, when I started my music, I was like 14, and now I'm like 28. So it's like just the half. It's like it's like way shorter than you. So I'm in that process. So it's really tricky and confusing, and I just don't know what's going to happen. So if you could give me any advices, because you were in the band, and you are in the band, and you done the band. It's different from the K-pop, but you've done a lot of projects, like of course NERD, Neptunes, and of course your solo.
Yeah.
So, like any thoughts about
being.
I just wanted to say something before. Actually, I'm just gonna let it play again.
Being in the Neptunes, being in NERD, and having a solo record really helped me, because it you do one thing, then you take a break. You do another thing, then you take a break. You do another thing, then
switch
you take
modes.
A break. Yeah, and it allows me to like put on different hats and put on different masks. So I understand that, and I know like having that departure is gonna make it really fresh for you. I think it's good for you to do that, because then when you come back to it, to the group,
team.
yeah, I think it's gonna be to the team. I think it's gonna be super fresh. You're gonna have a whole lot of ideas. I would just say continue to move forward, continue to be curious, and don't put any kind of necessary pressure on what it is that you do by saying, no absolutes, like, oh, I will never do music again, or I will never. I wouldn't do any of that. I would just
no nevers.
No nevers. Just stay along for the ride. Just keep going.
Cruising.
Yeah, and just see where you end up, because it's really interesting.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
It was a bless.
Pleasure's
Oh,
mine.
wow. Okay. Before we finish off with my ending sequence with this 12 seconds of music, I just gotta say I am so proud of Namjoon for being able to speak about those matters, because he really put himself out there. And Pharrell is such a genuine person. Like, you can tell this from everything that he's saying and how he's conducting himself, and the amount of respect that they have between each other. And you can tell that their opinions of each other grew as the interview went on, because they really went deep. Like, when I say deep, they went so deep into this conversation. And a lot of things that they said, they talked about to one another, but it also applies to a lot of people that are listening to this. Like, if you're listening to this, maybe this is exactly what you needed to hear. And because getting advice or getting experience, hearing about someone else's experience that has already done what you're in or about to do, it's like you can't put a price on that. And Namjoon talking about the pressure that comes with not just being BTS but performing. I didn't even think about that. Can you imagine the pressure of going out there, knowing that there's people fighting, doing everything they can to get a ticket, and they come from all over the world to see you perform? That amount of pressure on Namjoon and the boys. Can you imagine just the weight of that? And then take a look at how they've conducted themselves, how far they've come, and what they've done. And I definitely agree here that him working on his solo, and sometimes it's necessary to be able to like take a step back, look at things, because when you're just doing something, you're stuck into it. It can kind of give you like a tunnel vision, and you can kind of lose track of things. But taking a step back can solve all of those things. And honestly, Pharrell, of course, I know Pharrell since before, but I've never truly seen what a genuine person he is. Like, this was eye-opening for me too, because the things he said, the way he described BTS, and the things that he was saying to Namjoon, is just straight from the heart. Like you can tell he's talking to him. You know, often they say, "Don't meet your heroes" or "Don't meet your idols," because it's like a dream being shattered, or they just don't live up to the picture that you have. I feel like that doesn't apply to BTS, and it doesn't apply to Pharrell here either, because you can tell Namjoon meeting him, like you can tell he was a little bit nervous, but he is still confident, and he was able to talk about some really tough things in front of Pharrell, and Pharrell appreciated that, and met him with the same authenticity. It's just so honestly one of the best interviews. I didn't talk much because honestly I felt like there was not a lot for me to say or add into it, other than these are two grown men with so much respect and so much knowledge in the music industry, and they just decided to have such a deep conversation and shared with all of us. Like that is, I am grateful that they did this. Honestly, this was absolutely incredible. I cannot wait to hear what they've been working on together. They have been wanting to work since a while ago. I mean, imagine, like, this is something that's really cool. Before we end this, Namjoon listening to Pharrell, and now he's making music with him. Like, can you imagine that? That is so cool. That's like looking up to someone and then getting to work with them. That is honestly one of the coolest things. And honestly, Namjoon, he's just such a like gentle soul. The way he speaks, the way he thinks, the way he articulates himself. There's not enough words. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. Let me know what you thought. I think this is one of the best interviews, point blank. It didn't even feel like an interview. Honestly, it felt like just two people, like, just having such a deep conversation, and I felt like I was a fly in that room, and I got to listen in. Also, Namjoon clarifying that he didn't mean mess, but he meant mass. I was like, this guy. But yeah, thank you everyone for watching, and don't forget to vote, and I will do my outro here with this music. Don't forget to vote. MA22. Let's go. It's between you and yeah. Skr.
I'm not sure.
Bye bye.